Growing up, one of my favorite games was Mario Party for the DS. The fun minigames and interesting storyline created endless hours of fun for me. Recently, I've gotten nostalgic for the game and decided to boot it up and try and relive some of those memories. While playing one of the minigames, I got inspiration to make a new map. The minigame is called Dust Buddies, and the basic idea is that you and 3 other players are getting chased by a giant vacuum while it sucks objects in, and the last standing player wins. I thought this would be a great concept to turn into a simple Fortnite map, and also a great way to try and learn new things in the Unreal Engine. So straight away I figured the best way to make the camera angle would be the new fixed point camera that was recently added to UEFN. Using this, I created a sequence and moved the camera through the sequence, which allows the players to remain on the screen while running, but if they are too slow and get sucked into the vacuum, the camera won't follow them. I then had to decide what house asset I wanted to use, and I settled on this one because it's large open space and unique look. In order to make things look big, all I did was take the object and scale it up. Next, I plotted the general idea of the course in my head and added locks to the doors that were in the way so that they would be open at the start of the game and not get in the way of the vacuum. Speaking of the vacuum, it's surprisingly hard to find a free vacuum model in the FBX format, which is required for importing to UEFN. So having absolutely zero experience in 3D modeling, I tried my best to make something that resembled a vacuum with Fortnite assets, but yeah. I also added a quick cinematic that's very similar to the Dust Buddies intro. After modeling the vacuum, I added a damage volume that would follow underneath the vacuum POV, so if the player gets dropped below the sideline or gets quote unquote sucked in, they get instantly eliminated. With the basic vacuum mechanics out of the way, I decided to move on to adding barriers to make sure the players stay in a somewhat confined area. I figured this would be easier than pathing the camera POV first and adding the barriers second, but to be honest, I was just sick of working on the camera and wanted to switch it up. So here's my first rough draft with the barriers. It shows you a nice outline of the course, and this is subject to change based on playtesting, but I think this is in a good enough of a spot that I can move on to adding the props. Adding the props was a lot more fun than I expected, and while designing the layout, I tried to give each section its own unique feel. I also tried to add multiple paths the players could take with some risk added if they feel like taking it. Now that the props are finished, I want to move on to the solution for if more than one player makes it to the end, and who will be the winner. My idea right now is to have coins along the track that you can collect, and whoever has the most coins at the end will be the winner. So I quickly placed down some coins along the path and changed some scaling and other things on the item spawner, and the final result came out just how I wanted. After this, I finally decided to finish the vacuum POV cinematic, and after seeing the completed version of the first try, I decided to just start over and make everything a lot more smooth. The second attempt was a lot better, still not perfect by any means, but good enough. Finally, it was time to move on to the coin tiebreaker system. I spent countless hours researching and working on a custom scoreboard, but nothing I was doing was working. So the coin idea ended up being too hard to implement, so instead I added a trigger at the end of the map that grants the activating player an SMG and bullets, so whoever gets there first will be able to obliterate the remaining player, which sounds fair enough to me. With that, I just need to add the finishing touches to the map and it's all done. The first detail I tackled was adding a vacuuming sound effect as well as a sound effect for the door bursting open at the start of the game. Once that was all added, all that was left was the pre-game lobby. I kept it nice and simple and added the title of the map in my @ and with that, the work for the map is done and it's time to move on to the thumbnail. Thumbnail is finished and I tried to keep it simple, nothing too fancy, but looks interesting enough. And that's it. I know it's not the best map in the world, but I did make this in 3 days and I'm still pretty new to making maps. Overall, I had a great time working on this map, and the map code is on the screen now if you guys want to play it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing as I do plan on making more videos. Also, comment if you have a suggestion for what my next map should be. See you guys next time.